Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Mic check.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Cool.
Hi, it's me, and finally caught it right and tuning in. So let me know what you got.
I think it's probably everyone's top issue.
Oh, it's like
if not top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird.
Shannon's asked.
I didn't even realize
Okay. Can I get a mic check?
this one. Test 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. July 1st, 2021. Testing. Can you hear me? 1 2 3.
Frank had this at the SWAT situation, and he says it was up for a couple of hours, so I'm going to be monitoring the battery supply, so I hope it's okay. See if I can tell. Oh yeah, it's got more than 50% battery, so it should be all right. Is this? Are they streaming this? Is Will gonna take it? Okay. All right. So far it looks pretty good, so we're good to go. Oh.
Mic check. Check 1 2. 1 2 3 4. Check 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 check.
Turn down
Check
the
check.
audio until
Check.
everything's
You good?
everything's running clear.
Okay.
All right, thanks, bye.
No, it is an Air Max. Just not sure if it's a 95 or not. I mean, you can find the Air Maxes for not too bad at like the outlet over in New Braunfels. Or San Marcos. San Marcos. It's one of them guys. Yeah, they used to. Sorry. That'd be a great shot. I would use that one for crunch. That was going in Sunday. Full page spread.
It did last time. But no guarantees. I think
why?
they're still new to press conferences in this room, so who knows if they're gonna change their routine.
I don't know. I'm new to this whole building.
Yeah.
I'm trying to go across the street. That's how everybody goes.
Or about what they're needing here, power, sound, audio, shot looks good.
You got an ETA.
I think just about 2-3 minutes in this one, yeah, almost there.
Tell Steven just like that.
All my Tuesday.
Oh, really? You're still on weekend?
Saturday, yes. I am starting. It's not too bad. It's really easy. Just post off control.
So I'm just going to make brief remarks from the podium, and then I'm happy to take your questions from here, if that works for everyone. Good? Good? Okay. Good evening. Thank you all for coming. Today we have announcements on two separate cases. The case regarding the death of Fred Babcock, which was brought to a grand jury by our office's Civil Rights Unit, and the case regarding the death of Garrett Foster, brought by our office's Homicide and Major Crime Unit to a grand jury. This morning, our office announced that a Travis County special grand jury has concluded its review of the September 22nd, 2019 death of Fred Babcock involving Austin Police Department officer Matthew Harmatook. The special grand jury did not return an indictment on Officer Harmatook, and I think it's important that everyone understands how seriously our office takes presenting all of the facts and evidence to a grand jury, especially when a member of our community has died. In this case, an independent group of members of the Travis County community, after being sworn in to uphold their duties, heard the evidence and law and concluded that Mr. Harmatook's conduct was lawful. Mr. Harmatook has been cleared of all charges in this case by the Travis County grand jury. We're also going to be making some announcements with respect to the death of Garrett Foster. Our office is also announcing today that a Travis County grand jury has returned indictments against Daniel Perry for the charges of murder and aggravated assault in the death of Garrett Foster. The grand jury also returned one indictment for a misdemeanor count of deadly conduct. Mr. Foster was fatally shot while participating in a protest in Austin in July 2020. Evidence presented by our Homicide and Major Crimes Unit included over 150 exhibits and testimony from 22 witnesses over 3 weeks. Prior to the grand jury's proceedings, in addition to the investigation that law enforcement conducted, the district attorney's office also reviewed evidence and interviewed witnesses in order to present the most accurate possible set of facts to the grand jury. Our heart goes out to all those impacted by this immeasurable loss, in particular Mr. Foster's family and friends. We take our responsibility to present all of the evidence in any given case to a grand jury very seriously. And in this case in particular, we presented an extensive collection of evidence for the grand jury's consideration. Thank you all for coming out, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Daniel Perry's attorney has made a couple of statements. I'm hoping you all can speak to both.
Sure.
The first is that this indictment was politically motivated, and the second one is that the prosecutors did not allow his defense attorney, to present evidence during the grand jury hearing. Can you speak to both of those?
Absolutely. Well, both of those accusations are simply false. First of all, this case, the facts were presented by career prosecutors in our office to a Travis County grand jury. A grand jury is a collection of members of our community, our friends and our neighbors, who have sworn an oath to be independent from the district attorney's office, to hear all of the facts and evidence and law, and to make their best determination. I will also say that our office had been in contact with Mr. Perry's attorney throughout this process. I will say that Mr. Perry was afforded the opportunity to testify in front of the grand jury and decided against taking that step. In addition, it is true that Mr. Perry's attorney presented our office with a packet of information, and the overwhelming majority of that information was in fact presented to the grand jury for their consideration.
The attorney was also telling me that he's done this for 30 years and that typically, even though it might have already been in for consideration, the prosecutor will allow the defense to submit this written.
And that's exactly what happened in this case. He presented a packet to our office. Our office reviewed the packet, and the overwhelming majority of information in that packet was presented to a grand jury for their consideration. And as I said, Mr. Perry was afforded the opportunity to testify in front of the grand jury if he chose, and he declined.
So you're saying
It's absolutely false.
What information was left out of the packet? for the grand jury?
Well, generally, the law prohibits us from speaking in any detail about what information a grand jury considered. What I will say generally is that of the information presented in that packet, the only information we did not present to a grand jury is information that would not be permitted in a trial.
Any idea on timeline of that jury trial?
Not at this point. You know, we are just getting back up and running for jury trials here in Travis County. We expect trials to begin again in person in the coming weeks. There is a long list of cases that are set for trial. Our office and our attorneys are working hard to prepare those cases, and we will be doing our best to present all of those cases in a timely manner.
Can you speak to the next steps going forward? What happens from here?
Yeah, let me just try to provide a little bit of additional information. My understanding is that in Mr. Perry's case, bond was set at $300,000. My understanding is that he posted a surety bond and is no longer in custody. My understanding further is that there will be further proceedings on the conditions of his release, and my sense is that those will be the next steps in this case. Guillermo, does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other?
Any
Yep.
additional, I mean, is, going forward to prepare for this jury trial, what do you need to do as a prosecutors? What needs to be proved at this point further than what you guys presented to the grand jury?
Well, as I detailed, our prosecutors in this office have reviewed an incredible amount of evidence and have taken, done real work to prepare in anticipation of presentation to the grand jury. In any case, there is additional work that must be done between presenting to a grand jury and preparing for a trial. The preparation in this case will be similar to every case we have set for trial.
What are some typical, you said he was released on bond, some typical restrictions he would be facing?
Well, just as an example, our office announced about a month ago new firearm surrender protocols. We have policies in our office that require prosecutors to request from a judge that they order people who commit acts of violence, particularly with firearms, to surrender their firearms. That, for example, is a condition that we will be requesting in this case. Generally speaking, our prosecutors assess potential danger to our community and based on the facts and circumstances may be requesting other conditions to safeguard our community.
Sergeant Perry is currently active duty. Is that something that you guys might request to be, that he be put on desk duty, or that nature of his role will change?
Well, I'll just say that we will be examining all of the circumstances in this case and seeking to have conditions imposed that we will be sure can keep our community safe.
Does he currently live in Texas right now, or does he live elsewhere? Can you tell us where he currently is posted?
I can't speak to his residence or his posting. I know that his capias, his warrant, was executed here in Travis County this afternoon. Any other questions? Sorry to make you guys get dressed up and come all the way down here, but I appreciate it. Good to see you. It's easier to do this all at once than one-on-one. So thank you for your time. Let us know if you have any follow-up questions. We're happy to try to get you everything you need. Thank you.